I realized that every day fighting with him when I'm going to college, coming back from college, blah blah blah, it's not helping him or me.
वो आपके एक्सपीरियंस से नहीं आए आपने स्कूल में कैसे लोगों के साथ डील किया है आप किन चीजों से गुजरे हो that has been your journey your parents have not dealt the same thing.
You're not gonna like this one, but this is the truth.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Listen Up with Simran Isha, where we dive into real conversations about life, personal growth, and everything in between. Today, we have an exciting episode lined up for you, so turn up the volume and listen up.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's episode of Listen Up with Simran Isha. We are talking all about mental health this month. I feel like we spoke about anxiety, our own experiences last episode, and we shared a lot, right, Isha?
Yes, we did.
And this week, and this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about also how do you deal with keeping and maintaining a good mental health with an Indian family, or they say family, they say household, because I know most of us live with our parents. We are very different to the West culture. Most of us live with parents, with grandmothers, grandfathers. We have more people in our house usually. It's never like a very rare that we have nuclear families. Usually we all grow up with like that, you know. So it's not just about managing yourself with your mom and dad. It's also sometimes your uncles, your aunts, you know, your grandmother, grandfather, etc. So, and I get a lot of messages on my page all the time, which I was telling Isha, where everybody is always like, especially younger girls or guys who reach out to me and they're like, oh, I don't know how to deal with this. They don't understand. They don't see my point of view. They don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. And that's like the common objection. And you're not going to like this episode if you've asked me this question, because the thing is that the answer to that lies with, it's not you, it's not about them, it's about you. So you're not going to like this one, but this is the truth. Am I right, Isha?
Yes, you
Should
are.
we get into that?
Yes, I think you are. I think they don't get it. This is like a common consensus that we are growing up. मुझे लगता है this is a tendency that as teenagers or as young people we have. We know everything and my parents are not getting it. Also, we are bombarded with this idea that there's a generation gap between us and our parents. Now, when you're bombarded with this idea, you start believing that why would they understand me because I'm coming from a different generation? But that's not true. If you're coming from a different generation, they're also coming from experience. So maybe you have to, what we as individuals have realized in our journey is you have to learn to find the balance and bring that harmony into the household while finding that balance. It's not always easy. We are not saying that. But you still have to focus. The goal is that it's not you and your family or the idea, whatever you're dealing with. Like it's not you against each other. It's you both together against the problem. That's the mindset that we work with now. And I think that works well for me and you, Simran, now that we've understood and grown as individuals, right?
I think that is the most important thing. I love my father to death. He will move the moon and stars for me. Like, I know we love each other so much, but we have the most intense fights ever. Where, especially growing up, when I was growing up, because I'm exactly like him. And because I'm exactly like, when you're exactly like someone else, you are a product of them. It is harder to see why you don't like something about them. It's because it's, you also have the same thing.
Yes.
You have the same anger. You have the same. I have the same anger my dad has. I have the same stubbornness. I have the same also good qualities like leadership qualities. I also am somebody who has a big vision. I like going ahead in life. I'm ambitious. But this is exactly, if I would say the same thing about my father.
Yeah.
And I'm literally a carbon copy of him. So initially, it was very hard for me to understand that why is it we never see eye to eye. Later, I realized it's only because he's exactly like me. And he's trying to, they always will want to do the best for you. Their intentions are in the right place, even if their actions are not sometimes. You know?
I think that's something
they may not do it. They may
not
not do it in the right way, but they mean well for you, even though they, there's a bit of issues there.
Yeah.
And for me, I realized the more I started growing up, and especially when it comes to keeping your mental health in the house, I realized that every day fighting with him when I'm going to college, coming back from college, blah, 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 it's not helping him or me.
Or anybody.
We just are getting,
Yeah.
or anybody, especially not my mom, because my mom loved us both and she hated the fact that we were constantly bickering. So at the end of it, at the end of like a few months, I realized if I keep doing this, I'm just going to A, burn myself out, number one, B, ruin anything, any kind of connection I have with my father, and C, I will just constantly be stuck in this pattern all my life, you know. And I was like, I don't want to do that. And I want to live a more peaceful life in my house. I want to come back home easy, right?
Yeah.
And it means with me accepting that there are problems with me as well.
Yes.
Which we don't want to
Yes,
say. There are
exactly.
flaws. You have flaws as well. And that's why you have issues. And the second thing is that not everything is a battle. Everything is not war. You know, you're not going to war with your parents or your family. Relax. You know, there are bigger wars in this world right now, more important wars. You know, so stop being at that constant point. At least in my personal growing up opinion, I realized the less I do that, less I focus on having issues, the better my life is.
I get it. I
And
completely
accept
get it.
for people. Accept them for who they are.
Yeah, yeah,
My dad is a stubborn person. I'm also a stubborn person. That's it. So
Yeah,
I've accepted myself. I have to accept him as well. You know?
I
Yeah.
completely relate with you because I've been on the other spectrum of it because I'm similar to my mom in that way. Very similar to Mama in that way. That's why there's always a lot of, when there's conflict also, we have the similar kind of arguments. But then again, I think I love what you said. The intention is always the best intention. I think हमारे parents से ज़्यादा हमें कोई प्यार कर ही नहीं सकता इस दुनिया में. और हमारे लिए हमसे मतलब हमारे parents से ज़्यादा हमारे से अच्छा हम भी नहीं सोच सकते. कुछ ज़्यादा ही they love because we're the product of them. ना तो they've grown something from scratch. So now they want everything that's best for them. Again, what my experience with this has been and dealing with this conflict, this resolution is basically sometimes as youngsters and as parents, what happens is we keep fighting or keep arguing and we keep focusing on the fight or the words that were said to each other, words that were said to each other in anger. I think that's where the focus becomes. Now what I keep telling myself when I go back to my room or sit, I always tell myself, what was Mama trying to teach me in that moment? What is something that she thought I need to learn in my life? That's changed the whole way I look at our fights and our conflicts and whatever has happened in the house. I even try to teach my younger siblings that कि उससे भी मत focus करो, focus कि मम्मा बोल क्या रही है, क्योंकि गुस्से में तुम मिस कर जाओगे बात.
So true. So true. And 9 out of 10 times, in general in life, you will always notice when you don't like someone.
Yes.
Ask yourself why you don't like them. Every time in life, when you meet somebody and you're like, I didn't like her that much, I didn't like him that much, ask yourself why you're saying that. And you will see you will say, no, that person was a bit too stubborn, that person was too difficult, that person was like this. Sometimes, and most of the times, they are projections of what you have in you as well.
Yes.
And what you don't like about yourself, you're seeing it in them. And that's why you don't like them either. And that is what's happening. So that happens with anyone, a lot of people in your life. So obviously it's going to happen with your family. You live with them. Obviously also your parents are people. I think this is something which I have started seeing now that I'm entering my 30s. I think when I was growing up, they were just like, they are supposed to be my parents. They're supposed to be like
They're
this.
supposed to
They're
be
supposed
good.
to be
They're
like that.
supposed to know everything.
Why are they not here? They need to be gods, you know. They need to have everything right. Why is my homework? Why didn't I get the latest, school bag? Why didn't I have this? They're supposed to give it to me? That was the whole idea, that they have to be perfect and I am the kid, Now I realize that no, they were also kids and they're also figuring it out as they go,
Yes.
When I was 10, they were probably like, my age, 30, 32, 33, whatever. So if I think I'm a kid at this age, imagine what they were doing, So they were trying their best with us, And now I know that they are people. They come with their own set of good things and bad things. And that's the blessing and the curse of being human.
Exactly. You know what, Simran? I love what you said in the beginning, that not everybody is going to like this episode. Because we've also come to these realizations the hard way. But we've come to these realizations and they've changed our life for the better. As
Yeah.
humans, I think the worst thing that we like doing for ourselves is कि अपने अंदर flaws ढूंढना. कि okay, I don't like this about me. Nobody likes doing that. But once you learn to do that, कि okay, I'm not good at this, I need to work on this, or you start
Yeah.
seeing that mentality, कि okay, I need to work on something that I'm not good at. What happens is you start seeing the other person also for just a human, not for the elder that is, कि okay, मुझसे 15 साल बड़े हैं, they should already know. Uh, because people, they've also come from their own experience, they will teach you from their experience. वो आपके एक्सपीरियंस से नहीं आए हैं. आपने स्कूल में कैसे लोगों के साथ डील किया है, आप किन चीजों से गुजर रहे हो, दैट हैज बीन योर जर्नी. योर पेरेंट्स हैव नॉट डेल्ट द सेम थिंग्स, एग्जैक्टली सेम उन्होंने नहीं एक्सपीरियंस किया, और वो उसी से आपको समझा पा रहे हैं. कि आपको समझना पड़ेगा कि मम्मा पापा का एक्सपीरियंस जहां तक था वो उसका बेस्ट हमें दे रहे हैं. दे आर ट्राइंग कि हमने जो भी सीखा है उसको निचोड़ के कैसे हम अपने बच्चों को पूरी तरह से डाल लें. वो अपनी तरफ से इस मेंटालिटी से चल रहा है, और हम वी गो विद दिस मेंटालिटी कि अरे आप मेरी बात नहीं समझ. So that's where the clash begins. I think that's where we have the mental health, and then we start blaming here and my mental health is not good in this house. I'm not saying कि गलती इंसान से नहीं होती है, मुझसे भी होती है, मेरे पेरेंट्स से भी होती होगी, बड़ों से भी होती है, छोटों से.
Exactly.
वो होता है.
So again, yes, you have to accept responsibility for yourself, and you have to understand yourself better. And this is, yes, what we're talking about in the episode. But also, there will be times where they will also make mistakes.
Yes.
And they will also be at fault.
Yes.
And for no fault of theirs or yours, you will be in a conundrum, as we call it, or as a problem point in your life. And at that point, all I know is you need to choose your peace.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, even when you're stuck in a place like this, where it could be that they think they're right, you think you're right, and that happens. So both of you don't want to compromise, both of you don't want to let it go. You will have to start finding a way to build your own peace.
Yes.
And give them space to understand you, and give yourself space to understand them. Because it only takes time to understand it.
Yeah.
I was 17, 18 years old when I was starting college, and I was an A grade student. I got 93% in my boards, which is like a crazy good, like whatever percentage to have. I'm a smart kid, and I went to my parents at 17 and I was like, Dad, I want to be a professional dancer. And he was just like, why? Like, you are so smart. Like, you can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, you can make money, you can do these things. Why do you want to be a dancer? Why do you want to do a creative thing? Isn't it like जो बच्चे weak होते हैं studies में, वो बच्चे करते हैं ना ये सब, कि वो drama या acting या singing या whatever. You two are good, so you should pursue studies. And I get where he was coming from, because that's his point of view. And I wanted to pursue dance. And for a long time, I was not wrong. He was not wrong. He was trying to give me a secure and better future, because he wants me to be happy. I was trying to give myself my sense of purpose, which I felt at that point was dance. And I did not agree with him. But doesn't mean either of us was wrong. We had to understand and show to each other why we're choosing what we're choosing.
Oh, yes.
If you're choosing a career which is not conventional, if you want to be a model or an actor, whatever, it's almost wrong of you to expect everybody to support you. Even though in an ideal world, your parents will be like, हाँ बेटा तू जो करेगा अच्छा करेगा, but that is not how life is. They will worry about you because they want you to be safe. Their priority as parents is to save you and keep you safe and protect you and nurture you. You want to live your life and your purpose. So it takes also on you. I spent 6 months showing them that I can be a professional dancer.
Exactly.
I can make it a career. I was traveling with the company, I was touring, I was in countries all over the world, and I was on stages, I was in places where people have not gone. And that's when my dad recognized that, okay, she can do it. Because it takes time for people to also start believing in the impossible, or believing in something which is not their normal. If all the time your families only had arranged marriages, your mom was arranged marriage, father uske pehle arranged marriage, then finally you find a guy and you want to do a love marriage, it's suddenly you're disrupting a system they've created for years.
And it's not, and you cannot blame them for it, because they've learned with that, they've grown with that. Unki understanding ki wahi, last 40 years of their life, they've been taught one thing. Now you're telling them A is wrong, B is correct. एकदम से तो एक्सेप्ट नहीं होगा ना. आई थिंक आई लव व्हाट यू सेड बिकॉज दैट्स व्हाट आई आल्सो फील. जब भी कुछ कॉन्ट्रडिक्टिंग पार्ट आता है ना, you have to show with consistent action and results. That's how the change happens in a society or in a household. You cannot expect it with conversation. That is unrealistic expectation on our parts. कि हम जाके बोले कि हमें बी चीज करनी है, ये हमें करनी नहीं है, आप बोलो वेरी गुड बेटा. That's not how it works. You show effort, you show अपनी मेहनत दिखाओ. You know, show your hardship there. कि यार नहीं, this is something I am striving to do in life. Then I think the parents will also give in to you and understand कि नहीं, this is something that, because what happens is तुम एक कंडीशनिंग बदलने की कोशिश कर रहे हो और कंडीशनिंग टाइम के साथ बदलती है और एक ग्रोथ और एक एक्शन के साथ बदलती है. एंड अगेन जाकिर खान की वो लाइन मुझे याद आ जाती है, हमारे पेरेंट्स बस चाहते हैं कि हम भूखे ना मरें, हमारा बच्चा भूखा ना रहे. वो चाहते हैं कि तुम सेफ और सिक्योर रहो. सो especially मुझे लगता है the biggest conflict in Indian household comes sometimes to careers. कि यार there's a conflict there. I want to be this, but my parents want me to be this.
And big issue. Yeah, career is a big one.
Big one because समझ नहीं आता ना, and nobody knows what future will bring. But even if you want to try things, you either take 6 months, take a small, like tell them, give me 6 months to show it to you. There's a way to have these conversations. Like you said, it's not a battle, it's not a war. You have to go at it in a more, I don't want to use that word, but I think diplomatic is the word because थोड़ा उस तरह से चलते हो, eventually you get to a point of
I would say yes, and I would say I would say diplomatic.
No, diplomatic is not the word. That's even
reason. Because the reason being, like, I've been the diplomat. I've also been the girl who's kept quiet to keep the peace in the house.
No, that
so that you don't want to, but then it also causes a lot of pain to me in the process because I shut up and keep my voice quiet. And I feel like every time I do that, like, I become less of myself. So I will not encourage anybody to, like, just be like completely like, ठीक है आपको जो चाहिए and all that. No, you need to learn to stand up for yourself no matter who you are, man, female, whichever culture you belong to. But like you said, come from a place of, see it from a bigger perspective, and don't think everything is, don't be a rebel without a cause.
Yes.
And know which battles are worth fighting and which are not. Once in a while, if they leave the room door open and they constantly come into the room, fine, it's okay. Stop snapping back at them, stop yelling. It's okay. Understand they forgot they're humans.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single time, don't ruin your mood because of it and ruin your headspace because of it.
You have to keep reminding yourself, even when you're having a conflict or something, that the two people who are in your corner are your parents, two biggest supporters of your life.
And your family,
as a family. The people who are in your corner is your family. So eventually, whatever you do in life, even when you get successful at it, you would want to celebrate with the ones you love, right? So you have to approach it in that way. I think that's what I've understood from my experience. There have been conflicts where difference of opinion आया था, पर again you've put your foot down कि नहीं मुझे ये करना है, मुझे ये try करना है, मुझे थोड़ी इसमें support चाहिए, but I'll show it to you. मैं करके भी आपको दिखाऊंगी. दोनों चीजें फिर it's like a give and take. Parents also give you that space कि हाँ नहीं, child is very confident about it. Career की अगर हम बात
and it's good because we all are growing up self-aware, so maybe our children will be blessed to have parents who say yes, we will support you.
I don't know, Simran, जब हम parents बनेंगे तो हम कैसे parents होंगे, हम कितने protective या obsessive होने वाले हैं, I have no idea about it. We can't predict it.
Exactly. I mean, you can't predict anything, and it'll all come with its own challenges, but overall and all in all, just it comes down to acceptance. Accept people for who they are. Stop trying to change them. Stop trying to change their perspectives. Start accepting yourself for who you are. Give people time and space. Understand each other's perspectives. Look at it from a third person's angle, and that's when you can find some kind of mental balance and mental peace in your space as well.
Yes.
And that goes for anything. It could even be your future relationships and your friendships and everything, And this episode has been all about things you can do to, have mental health, better mental health in your house. And that's why we've spoken about these things, because I can't sit here and tell you how to change and manipulate people. That's not what me and Isha are about. We don't talk about these things. We are not people like that. We believe if you want to change your life, you take charge of the narrative. You take decisions. You make more informed decisions about your life and become more emotionally intelligent and mature as a person. And that will help you because it starts with you. It's not about them. It's always about you.
It's always going to be about you. And I think Simran, you said everything. But just when you do go through these tough times, learn to give yourself grace as well. That's something we all miss out on when we are going through a hard time. Give yourself grace, and I think you will be able to easily sail through these phases. Not easily, but yeah, you will be able to sail through these phases as well. I hope this helps someone. I hope somebody who, because people have reached out to us, they want to talk about these things that sometimes very hard to maintain. I hope if you are listening and it helps you a bit, you gain a different perspective today.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you so much for the conversation today, Isha. And thank you for everyone who listened and joined us today. And we will see you in our next episode next week. So keep listening.
Bye, guys.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Listen Up with Simran Isha. Hope you enjoyed the conversation and make sure to like and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay tuned and listen up.